Hello, it's Sarah here, and today what I thought I'd share with you was a book that I co-wrote with a friend of mine called Jane Bunting a long time ago. It's almost like a history book because it was written in the 1990s by Jane and I, and it's also a non-fiction book, so it's a book about facts. So if you like London buses, the big red buses here, I thought I'd talk you through our book and tell you some facts about it. Have you ever been on a bus? Where did you go on a bus? Was it where you live or where you've been on holiday? Was your bus like this one here, a double-decker? So you could go on, sit at the top or sit on the bottom. Did you ever sit on the top of a double-decker and look out the window? Now, a little ducky up here who's with me, he's been on lots of buses because you won't believe it. He once got left on a bus and we had to go to the bus garage to look for him. Anyway, we were very fortunate we found him. So, I've made a new little pointy stick here. It was just a paintbrush, and what I did was I wrapped some ribbon around it so that I can talk to you with my special pointy stick. And we've got Ducky, Dinosaur, and Floppy Ted up there as well. So let's have a little look at the front cover of our book. This is London Bus number 38. And here we have, it's written by Jane Bunting, my friend, and me, Sarah Kingham. This is number 38 bus, and it's going to Victoria Station. And it's going through Hackney, Dalston, Islington, Rosebery Avenue, Bloomsbury, and Piccadilly. And this is a Routemaster bus. Can you see that bus coming out of the garage? So let's have a little look at this bus book. Because it's a non-fiction book, I'll bring it forward for you to see more clearly. It has lots of information in it that you might find interesting, but I won't read it all because on the front of the book we have the contents page. So there we have on the front of the book what you can see on all the different pages. So we have the page numbers down the side and some of the things you can find out about the book next to it. So, for example, we have some facts. It says, "Did you know?" on page 2. And my favourite bit when I was learning and researching this book was what happened at night time to keep buses clean. What was a bus wash like? That's what I wanted to know. And in the bus wash is on page 22. So at the back of a non-fiction book, we also have something called a glossary in this one. And a glossary describes some of the words that we might not be familiar with in more detail. And then we have an index. So if you wanted, for example, to look up about a garage, you can find the word garage on pages 3 and 5 and 10, 14 and 15 and 20 and 24. If you wanted to know where you might find the word ticket, you can have a look at that down there on pages 13, 18 to 19. So we knew things were different in the olden days. So here are some amazing facts about buses. Here are all the people queuing up for them. Can you see the people? And this is some amazing facts. It says here, a bus uses 4 litres of diesel fuel for every 8 kilometres it goes. A London bus travels at an average of 45 kilometres an hour. That's the speed it goes. And how many people do you think can go on a bus? How many people go on the bus where you live? Well, back in the olden days, a Routemaster bus like this one here, each bus had enough seats for 72 people. 72, that's a big number, isn't it? And we also, when we were learning about buses to write this book, discovered that the tyres on a bus are as tall as a 3-year-old child. Here it says each bus weighs 7.5 tonnes, and that's when it's got no people in it. I wonder how heavy it might be if it was full up with all these people. So this is it, London bus number 38. And there it is at Leaside Buses at Clapton Garage, and that's in Hackney. This is a number 38 London bus. It travels from Clapton Bus Garage to Victoria Station and then back again. Can you see it going? There it goes. So here's a diagram of the bus so we can see and learn about what all the things on the bus mean. So this is a Routemaster bus, and you get on these kinds of buses at the back And then the conductor comes to collect your fare. So what do you think her job is, the conductor? So she comes round and you don't have to put your Oyster card or your ticket, as they do in London, onto a little gadget and it makes a little sound. You get on the bus, and once the bus has started moving, the lady will walk along and ask you where you want to go, and she'll give you, what do you think she might give you? What might she give you, and how might she give it to you? What do you think? She gives you a ticket. So she is a lady conductor here, and she comes to collect your fare. So when she gives you that ticket, it's called your fare. And this bus is called a Routemaster Longer. And all the buses have their own numbers, a bit like you have your own name. And this bus's number is 2494. So the Routemaster Longer is the name, sort of a bit like sometimes a car's called a hatchback or an estate or an SUV. And there's its number. And inside the bus, it has something called a destination board down here. And it tells you some of the places on the route that the 38 goes to. So here we've got lots of places it goes to. It goes to the Royal Academy, Chinatown, Sadler's Wells, Essex Road, Dalston, and Clapton Pond. And here we can see a picture of like a swan, can't we? And this is the special sign of Leaside buses. That shows us that this means this is a Leaside bus sign. And people who have businesses often have a sign. So if you've ever been to a McDonald's, for example, you will have seen a big yellow M. And you may not be able to read, but you always know when you see that big yellow M that you might get something that you quite like in your tummy later, don't you? Because that's a sign of McDonald's. And this is the sign of Leaside buses. And here we have emergency exit. So here's where passengers can escape through it if they're on the top deck, if there was an emergency. And here's the route number again, from Clapton to Victoria and back. And here's the bus's special number. And the letters tell you which garage the bus is from. So that's interesting. It says CT, and that is Clapton Garage, Clapton Bus Garage. And the number tells you which bus number it is, and that's 101. So that's a labelled diagram there of the bus. So what do we have inside the bus? Everything inside the bus is planned to help the passengers as much as possible. So we have a passenger capacity here of 77. Do you remember we had 72 seats for people and 5 people who could stand? And what they say here is in the upper saloon, seated, 40 people can be. And in the lower saloon, seated, 32 people. And standing, 5. And those numbers together make, what do they make? So the bus can seat 72 people, upstairs and downstairs, and the bus is full when they have 5 standing people. Each bus has a special place where passengers can put their big bags and luggage out of the way. But here it says, with permission, but at owner's risk. It means they have to ask the driver, can I put my bags here? So people in the olden days might have looked to the driver or the conductor and just pointed, saying, can I put my bags here, please? And she or he would have said yes. Here's something called the diptach, and it's a special line that runs along the platform and the edge of the stairs of the bus. It's painted with luminous paint so that it shows up clearly and helps partially sighted passengers when they're getting on and off the bus. We have to make sure that everyone can go on a bus. And by the platform of the bus, there is a waste paper bin, and passengers put their used tickets in there when they get off the bus. And at the top of the bus, can you see there's a mirror? This is to help the conductor see what is happening upstairs. So that's page 7 on page 8. Page 8 and 9, we've got the route of the bus. So here, it tells us on the destination board where the bus goes. And it goes between Hackney, over there, and Victoria, down here. So Victoria Station, up to Hackney, crossing all these roads. It goes past Hyde Park, Green Park, all these places until it gets to Clapton Pond. Where have you been on a bus? Where did you go? Where did you get off? Getting ready to go. So I found this really interesting when I was learning about the buses in order to share this with you. Work in the bus garage starts very early each day when most people are still asleep. Would you like to get up really early to get a bus ready? Because the bus is cleaned inside every day. And the dirt is sucked up by a big vacuum cleaner. Can you see that vacuum cleaner? How old do you think that little girl might be? She's 4 years old, that little girl. And look how big it is. That cleaner is bigger than that little girl who's 4. And there he is, one of the people cleaning the dust off and all the mess and bits and bobs off the seats and the floor. There is a lot to be done before a bus can go off on its first journey. It has to be filled up with diesel. Can you see the man filling up with diesel there, with fuel? The water level needs to be checked. And this gentleman is rolling the route number so that everyone knows that's the 38 bus. Can you remember that's the number, so we know which number bus it is, which Routemaster of those 2,000 and something that were made. And then soon the driver comes and he checks in. So he has to say, hello, I'm here today. And what he does, he brings a swipe card and he passes it through a special machine like there. And this machine tells him which buses he's going to be driving that day and what time they're going to leave. Have you often wondered how the bus drivers get to know where to go and what time the buses go? And the conductor collects her little black case. What things do you think she's got in her case? So inside the case, there is the conductor's ticket machine. She also takes a spare packet of tickets in case her machine breaks down. Where have you seen a ticket? Have you ever been anywhere where you've been given a ticket? What kind of ticket have you seen? What do tickets do you think? They help people remember that they've gone somewhere and they've got to go somewhere, maybe to the cinema or to the theatre, or if you're in the queue at the supermarket. And here we have the bus garage in Clapton. The number 38 leaves the garage. It will arrive at Victoria Station in 50 minutes if it's not delayed in traffic. Can you see that? Who's that? This is the controller. And he checks the time as each bus leaves the garage and writes it down on his sheet. And there's the conductor. And she'll be speaking to all the passengers when they get on. By 8:30 in the morning, all the buses have left and the garage is nearly empty. Can you see it? Not many buses left in there, are there? Off it goes. People waiting at the bus stop there. On the road. The bus always stops at bus stops like this. Can you see that? It's got a white background and a red circle with a line through it. Here comes the bus. Can you see the people getting ready to get on the bus? And this bus, where do you think it might be going to? Where have you been to on a bus? That's going to Victoria Station. The people queue up, getting ready to get on the bus. And look, the conductor watches who comes on because she has to remember who to go and collect the fares from, doesn't she? Here she's helping that lady with her little toddler take her buggy on. And the bus only stops at bus stops like this. Can you see that one? It says Sadler's Wells in there. It's called a request stop and it looks different from this one. What's different? What can you notice that's different between that one and this one? Can you see different things on it? So the bus only stops at bus stops like this when a passenger rings the bell or when somebody is waiting at the bus stop, like here. This is called a request stop. Well, now, what do you think the conductor's doing now? What's her job now? So, once all the passengers are safe inside the bus, the conductor comes along to collect the fares. What might she ask the passengers? What kind of questions might she ask? can you see what this little baby's holding? They're holding their ticket. And she gives them the ticket, then it shows that they've paid. Some passengers show a bus pass, and they paid for this before they got on the bus. So maybe that's a little bit like what happens now in lots of parts of England. I'm not sure it's the same all different parts of the world, but in lots of parts of England, people have a bus pass, don't they, or an Oyster card. And there the children sit down, getting ready to go on their trip. Where might they be going, do you think? Back at the garage. Sometimes the buses break down. Have you ever been on a broken down bus? What happened? Can you remember? Anyway, when they break down, they stay in the garage to be repaired. So that's a bit like you staying at home when you're poorly. And the mechanic works on them in a place called the pit. There's the pit. This bus is raised on a jack so that the mechanic can easily see underneath it. Can you see there? It's a bit like going to the doctor or staying at home and being looked after by your mummy or daddy or your carer. Every year the bus's tyres need replacing. Can you see that mechanic replacing them? The mechanics check the tyres every day to make sure they're safe to drive on. Wow, look at the size of that tyre. Can you see how old's that little girl, do you think? That little girl is 3. So that tyre is as big as a 3-year-old child. Can you see that? The engine needs servicing every month too. The mechanic has to check everything's working well. Off it goes, lots more people trying to get on. Oh, this is my favourite bit now. In the bus wash. Look at that. Because the buses get really dirty when they have to be washed in the bus wash each day. This is just like a car wash, only much bigger. So the driver, there's one, the driver dries the bus carefully through the bus wash. It's a very tight fit, can you see that? And the bus is sprayed all over by jets of hot soapy water. Have you ever been in a car when it's gone into a car wash? Do you remember what it sounded like? What did you think when you were sitting inside and saw those brushes with all the bubbles coming on the windscreen? Here, brushes as tall as the bus roll over the sides and along the back. And then the bus is rinsed with cold, clean water and wiped dry. At the end of the day, all the number 38 buses go back to Clapton Bus Garage. Can you see them lining up? There's 1, 2, 3. So we know there are at least 38 buses there. And now it's time to get them ready for the next day. Are there any words you wanted to look at? You can have a little look there and think about what page they were on. And then we have the back of the book, which tells you other books. And there's a picture of the bus with the ISBN number there. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that book. It is a historical book now, and see you soon.